Hi everybody, today I'm going to show you how to make this cheesecake right here. It's a no-bake cheesecake and it's quite easy to make actually. So it's a little softer than your traditional cheesecake. You can't really see the crust very well. I'm going to try and show you. So it's got a crust and you can see it's kind of soft. This is the next day after I made it, so it was sitting in the fridge for a little bit and firmed up. So if you want to see how to make this cheesecake, then keep watching. So the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is make the crust. And the crust that I'm making looks like this when it's ready. And it's basically the same ingredients you would use for an apple crisp topping. It is butter and flour. I'm using maple syrup for the sweetener and some oats, some rolled oats. So you don't have to do this. You can make any kind of crust, crush up some graham crackers with some butter, buy a ready-made crust, whatever you want to do. But if you want to make a crust like this, I'm going to show you how to do it, and you can substitute the flour for gluten-free flour as well if you'd like. So first we're going to make the crust. Here I have 1 cup of old-fashioned rolled oats that I'm going to add to a bowl. Next I'm going to add 2/3 cups of flour, and this is the flour that I'm using. Now I'm adding 1/3 cup of maple syrup. Now I'm adding in 4 tablespoons of melted butter. Now I'm taking a large baking dish. I think this is about 9 by 12 in size. It says 3 quarts on it. This is a Pyrex. And I'm just going to dump this in here and press it on the bottom to make the crust. And now I'm just going to bake it at 350 degrees for about half an hour. So now we're going to make the filling while the crust is baking. The cream cheese I like to use is this Green Valley one because it doesn't have any added gums or anything like that, and this is the 8-ounce size. The heavy cream I like to use is Kalona Supernatural, but it's actually pretty hard to find. So use any heavy cream that you can find. This one is grass-fed and low-temperature pasteurized. And normally what you would do is you would do 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese and 1 pint, 16 ounces of the heavy cream. Today I'm going to make just a tiny bit extra, and I'm going to use a 1/3 package and then another half of a bottle. So I will tell you like the right amount of sugar as if you're making the smaller portion though when we get to that part. Now you want to juice half of a lemon and add that in. I'm going to go back and add just a little bit more to mine since I'm making an extra large batch here, but you should be good with about half of a lemon. Now I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla, and I'm using this pure vanilla powder, which is just ground up vanilla beans. You can use the regular vanilla extract, but I find that because that has alcohol typically, and we're not cooking this is a no-bake dessert, the alcohol is not going to get cooked out, so I tend to be able to taste it, and I don't want to be able to taste the alcohol, so I'm just using this powder, but you can use whatever flavor you want. You can try adding different flavors as well. You can add a little bit of cacao powder and like orange flavoring to make chocolate orange cheesecake. There's really a lot of variations that you can do. Now you want to add some sweetener. So for the regular size cheesecake, not the extra large size that I'm making here, you want to add about 1 pipette of the stevia and about half a cup of sugar, coconut sugar. You can use whatever you want, organic raw honey, maple syrup. You can use only sugars. You don't have to use stevia. I'm kind of diluting the amount of sugar that I'm adding by substituting some of it with stevia. You can do only stevia. There's really a lot of possibilities here, and what I suggest is that's like a base to start out with. Mix that in and then give it a taste to see if it's sweet enough for you or if you need to add a little more because everybody's taste buds are different. Now you want to mix it with a blender, and eventually it's going to start to thicken up. You're basically whipping the cream, so once it becomes like a whipped cream consistency, that's when you want to stop. Alright, so that is looking like it's ready. You can see it kind of holds its shape there. And you don't want to over whip this because the heavy cream is going to start turning into butter, and you're going to see like little tiny lumps of butter. And what you want to do is either put this in your crust if your crust is all ready, or stick it in the fridge if your crust is not yet ready or if it's still cooling. My crust is still baking. I'm going to go ahead and take that out and show you that in 1 second. And then I'm going to cool that completely before putting this in it. Here is the crust right out of the oven, so I'm going to let that cool completely and even stick it in the fridge to make sure it's nice and cold before I put the filling in. This is optional, but I like to take some chocolate and grate that and use that as the topping for the cheesecake.
Oh, no.
So here is the finished result. It is a little softer, kind of like pudding, but it will firm up if you leave it in the fridge overnight. So here's what the cheesecake looks like the next day. You can see it firmed up a bit, so I was able to cut a piece off of it. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.